My name's Aaron Lucan. Today I've got a 6-part practical guide to small business restructuring, and this is the ride to work. So coming in at 6th place on my practical guide to small business restructuring is that this is a debtor in control appointment type. Now, this is not just a new appointment type in Australia, it's an entirely new insolvency regime in a way. An unexpected benefit of this has been that, in my experience, directors have developed a new appreciation for their business and how to best trade it profitably, because it forces them to work more closely with a restructuring advisor, to work more closely with their accountants and solicitors, and also, to a lesser extent, working closely with their creditors. In the number 5 spot on my practical guide is that debts need to be under $1 million. But that doesn't necessarily mean the debts need to start under $1 million. We've had a few examples now of directors we've helped where the debts have exceeded $1 million, but through things like debt for equity swaps with related party creditors, and by restructuring some of the debt or focusing on paying down, say, superannuation or other certain types of debts, we're able to reduce the debts under $1 million before the appointment. And in addition, we've put in place some statutory protection around insolvent trading by taking advantage of And what I was about to say before all of that chucky stuff was putting in place some safe harbour protection. Coming in at number 4 on my list is that employee entitlements have to be paid. Now, if a business can't raise enough capital to discharge all of its employee entitlements, then it's not going to be eligible to execute a plan. This mirrors a problem that we've had for a very long time with deeds of company arrangement. Unfortunately, if a business is so hopelessly insolvent that it can't raise enough capital to even pay out its employee entitlements, then there's not much we can do to assist that business, and often liquidation is going to be the only real alternative. Coming in at number 3 on my list, it's that Division 7A loans can be a problem. So where directors or shareholders are taking drawings of the nature of income but keeping them as assets on the balance sheet or loans payable on the balance sheet, shouldn't expect that they're going to be able to compromise those loans through small business restructuring. Doesn't mean that they won't, but in our experience, it's been difficult. Number 2 on my list is that cash is king. Now, directors can offer whatever commercial deal they like, and it will be considered. But a rule of thumb that's emerging is that offers that provide cash up front and certainty of payment are preferred by creditors over those that require payment over time and less certainty. All right, and so that brings me to my number 1 issue, practical issue relating to small business restructuring, and that's that the ATO has been communicative and commercial. It was important that they did that for this regime to succeed, because they're the biggest single creditor in the country affected by this. And from mid last year, the ATO was saying to us that what they expected from small business restructuring advisors and what they expected from proposals for small business restructuring plans. And to the ATO's great credit, they've stayed true to that initial position. And that's really important, because that instills confidence in directors and accountants and restructuring advisors who are advising clients on what deals they might be able to do. So well done to the ATO. Now I'm going to try and ride down this almost vertical wall here behind me. Let's see how we go. So that's my 6-part practical guide to small business restructuring. Now, in hindsight, that trail was probably a little bit too rough for point of view cameras and speaking to the camera this morning, but we'll see how it turns out when I mix this tape down. As always, I hope your day started as well as mine, and thanks for joining me today on the ride to work.